everybody. Welcome to the YouTube Lead Gen Show, hosted by Kristina Smallhorn and myself, Malcolm Lawson. Kristina and I have generated tens of millions of views on YouTube, hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and hundreds of thousands of dollars in commissions from leads that we generated from our YouTube videos. On this show, we mastermind about using YouTube in our real estate businesses. Kristina, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you, Malcolm. I'm all rested up, got my California dreams done, and now I'm ready to rock and roll.
I love it. I love it. And we got a special guest today. We got Brad Armstrong, who was the winner of Kristina's Vid Summit ticket giveaway. Brad, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I actually have a Bill Olson here with me too, so it's pretty
really?
off. I was actually going to wear his face. But then with all my technical difficulties, I wasn't able to cut him out and wear him. Sorry, Bill.
Bill, how are you? Thank you for joining us, Bill. All right.
Bill wanted a recount. He's like, it was fixed. He wanted to look at the voting machines. He said it wasn't right.
It was a close one. It was a close one. Yeah.
It was.
The competition that we had, who can give like the best hook and the best intro to a video. I like Brad's a lot. Brad was like a very Mr. Beast reminiscent, right? A lot of these elements that Mr. Beast did, that drone shot and everything, I definitely hooked me pretty well.
There were some good ones in there. There were some really good ones. I was very impressed.
Yeah, Bill had one about the cemetery, right?
Yeah,
that
was dope.
All right, I'm gonna warn everybody. We're having technical difficulties today too, so Brad may look like a potato for the most of this live stream, and we'll see whose video cuts in and out the most during this. But yeah, so you guys just got back from Vid Summit, both of you. Brad, what was like your first experience at Vid Summit? What was kind of your biggest takeaways from that? You look frozen. He looks frozen.
He is frozen. I'll go first if you want me to go first. Okay. So when it came to Vid Summit, my biggest takeaways is that I even screenshot this quote, that my videos are more of like a gift than something that you need to get back, which I've kind of always said, and then this year I'm less worried, or I'm not going to be so heartbroken when a video does bad. Right. So you kind of have to just move forward. There's like my last video I thought was going to do a lot better. I don't think the title was necessarily great, but yeah. So I think that's it. I think that was it. It's just like, look at all these videos more as something, as a gift. And then move forward, because when you give a gift to somebody, you're not sitting there looking at it 100 times to see if they still like it. You're giving a present, you put your all into that present, and then you move forward. Right. So that would be my biggest thing that I got. There was a guy that I saw speak. If anybody buys the replays, that they really need to watch, because a lot of the speakers were really young. So I was like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to relate to these people. But their challenges when it comes to YouTube are no different than no matter what age you are, right? So this kid, his name is Matthew Beam, and he's been on YouTube for 10 years. And everybody's like, oh, he blew up overnight. He's been on YouTube for 10 years, and he's like now at 2 million subscribers. That jump from like 100,000 to 1 million subscribers happened very quickly, but it was a lot of planning ahead of time. And there was just some things, and he just knew he needed to do. He's actually a car painter by trade. He paints cars. He's really interested in cars and revamping cars and redoing them. And he talked about how he bought this car that he actually took a personal loan on. And it was one of the cars that, one of the big YouTubers had given away, and it was trashed out. So he was going to revive it. He knew that this was going to take forever, right? So it was like 5 years in the making before the video ever came out. It was one of the Jake Pauls, one of the Paul brothers had given the car away. So it was like, he did this video of, I'm going to revamp Jake Paul's video, revamp Jake Paul's car that he gave away in a video. And this is what it looks like now. And this is what it's going to look like afterwards. So, that's a lot of planning on somebody's hands, So anyway.
Yeah, that's a really interesting concept for a video. Because I know like Mr. Beast destroys cars all the time. Like taking one of his cars and bringing life back into it. I love it. Mm-hmm. It sounds like just that one. I got to turn this down. It sounds like just like that one video really blew up the guy's channel. I remember I think maybe last year, I saw somebody talking, and they're saying like you've only seen my successful channel. You've only seen me as a big YouTuber. You haven't seen all the other channels that I started at and failed at kind of along the way. And even Mr. Beast, you can go back on his channel. I love that he keeps all his old Minecraft videos up, and you see all the failures that he had before he really had that big success. It's kind of like that quote that you said the other day, slow and then fast.
Slow and then fast, always. And then, like, for some people, they'll say my growth is slow, but then to other people it's fast, you know. And I know for a fact I could be at a better place than I am right now. I had a little depression, you know, that got a hold of me because of COVID, not gonna lie. And I refused to do the content that would have blown up my channel.
Right.
So I know what it would have taken to get, like, be at 500,000 subscribers right now, like that. But I refuse to do that because I'm not gonna lie to an audience. To
market crash, market crash, market crash.
And to this day, like, every time I say anything that's like, you know, housing prices are slow, and they're like, still say it's not going to crash. I'm like, I never said it's not going to crash. What I said was, we're not in a crash right now. And if you're expecting 50% less in prices at the end of this year, you're out of your mind. It's just not going to happen. So it's like, everybody's waiting for that, like, gotcha moment. Like when when the prices finally fall, I'm like, what did you win, buddy? You know, because you're paying you paid $100,000 less, and now you've actually paid only $56 less than the person that bought it at the height of the market. Boy, you really freaking won. You know, that was a crash, you know, like,
yeah. And now they're paying 6-7% interest rate. So their mortgage payment is actually higher now than it would have been a year or 2 years ago because of these
buying at the height of the market.
That's the thing.
One of the things that's going around is like, do you want the price to come down, or do you want your interest rate points to come down? So anyway, we're talking real estate stuff.
Yeah, we got distracted here. Brad, yeah. What are some of your biggest takeaways from your first Vid Summit experience?
Shorts. Okay. I don't know exactly how to yet, but definitely going to need to start implementing those somehow. Yeah, those, I feel like in almost every session they were brought up, like that. And then also, I don't know if you guys were talking about this when my internet was down, but quality. Like Patty Galloway gave a great session on uploading less and growing more. You know, instead of putting 3 videos out a week and kind of spreading yourself thin on those, it's like you put 1 video out, say a month, but you spend an insane amount of time, you know, figuring out like the script on that, the editing, everything about it. You work it all out before you ever even start recording and all that. So I really liked his session a lot.
Yeah, I feel like that's something like Kristina and I have harped on for a long time now, that like content quality typically is more important than quantity. Like you don't want to. Yeah, there's a lot of agents that just focus on that quantity because that works on the other platforms, on TikTok and Instagram. You really got to focus on that quantity. But I think on YouTube, you really got to focus on the quality a lot more than the quantity.
Well, an interesting statistic is that the amount of people watching YouTube on television and the decline of just regular television altogether. People are kind of tired of it. And I think the other thing that is always really interested me is the idea of celebrity has been washed down, because at any point, anybody could have what I would say is kind of like recognition, right? Before, you had to have like somebody behind you, a company. You had to be on television. You had to be in movies for you to be recognized as a human in the world, right? Now you can just be on all these platforms. You don't need a bunch of people telling you what to do and what to say. You can just be yourself. And that authenticity is something that the public is wanting to consume, right? So they much rather hear some random girl in Louisiana talk about the real estate market than turn on CNN than hear them read statistics. So that, like, they are feeling the heat, you know, like these television, you know, stations are feeling the heat. And I think it's just like this creator economy that is happening is shaking up a lot of people, you know, like the amount of money that's going to go into advertising in the next year coming into YouTube is it's going to be awesome. So start like create your own contracts. If you're going to do sponsorships for products, have a lawyer type that up for you. He'll know what needs to be in there on what you're trying to do, because there's going to be some good money to make in the next year.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. So Brad, what are they saying about YouTube Shorts? So last year at Vid Summit, I remember I would go to some sessions and people were saying, create a completely separate channel for Shorts. It'll mess up your channel's algorithm if you put Shorts on that channel. That's kind of Daryl Eves' approach to it. And then I was going to other sessions and people were saying, no, don't do that. Put Shorts on your main channel. Why would you miss out on all these subscribers? And so there's at Vid Summit even, there's still people kind of debating that last year. And it seemed like the best practices around Shorts was still kind of being established. What were they saying this year? What was kind of your big takeaways around Shorts?
I feel like it was kind of like a 50-50 split. Like depending on like which creator you were listening to, they were like, yeah, no, totally should be on the same channel. Other people were like, no, still needs to be on a separate channel just because like all the kinks aren't fully worked out yet. And then so like my opinion, I was like looking, I was like, well, I don't want to build a whole separate channel if in like 3 months they finally have these kinks worked out where like they would all work well on one channel. I mean, my channel's not huge, so it's like, will my channel really be hurt if I have, you know, Shorts on there right now? You know, versus like obviously like Kristina's channel, like experimenting with Shorts when you have that big of an audience might hurt a little bit more than if you have under 1,000.
I think the thing that I got from that though is there is a way to do Shorts, but you have to know how to do them right. And I'm still figuring out how to do them right when you have long form content. Yeah. One of the things I was kind of like, I thought was more interesting that because I've been studying channels that have Shorts that seem to be able to make it work is that whenever they're doing a short, it's like they're hitting a main point that was in a longer video that's already been published, right? So they were talking about like the Fed and everything else. And then their first comment on their Shorts was the longer video. So you want to hear more about this, you're going to want to click this video right here. So that made sense to me because it's almost like a promo to the longer form content. Will people click over? I don't know. But those were the only ones that I've been in my research that seem to. But they made that 30 seconds super freaking interesting. You know, like they really delivered on that hook, you know, that short in those 30 seconds where I did want to hear more.
So I wonder if all across YouTube, if it's kind of based on like the niche that you're in, if that would which way you should go with that. You know, because I've seen some channels where their Shorts look exactly like their long form content and it works really well for them. And then channels where they're, you know, they have these really nice, high quality, long form content, and the Shorts are just kind of the talking head videos or something just filmed on their phones, and it doesn't work. It really kind of screws things up, the flow of it. So yeah, maybe it is kind of depending on the niche that you're in, and then really if you are kind of following best practices and actually doing like edited Shorts, like actually like high quality videos that you put some thought into.
I think it makes a difference too. If you are creating the same type of quality for your short that you would for your long form, you know, like if you're just making like a little commercial in your car for your video, then the video isn't in your car, then they're kind of confused, you know? So the quality of your long form video should match your Shorts. And like, what I see a lot of people do is they'll follow like a specific trend that's happening right now. And like most people aren't going to get that, especially like in my audience, nobody's really watching TikTok and they don't know what TikTok trends are. Right. So you're taking a trend that's on TikTok and putting it on YouTube. That ain't going to work. You know, that isn't going to work 100%. At all. Yeah. So follow the quality and the rhythm of your own channel and don't go off of the rails because it's a new trend or that's the thing that's trending on YouTube or even TikTok, because it's not going to work for your channel because that's not what your audience is used to. And they're going to think you're a doof, you know?
Yeah, it's actually crazy. So like, talking about it with Will, and we were looking at his analytics and he was showing me that like majority of his like audience base, I think was like 65 plus. So on the old,
mine are 55 to like 65, you know,
people can be watching Shorts, and especially with most of those people are watching on the TV, like you said, like nobody's consuming shorts. At least I don't think so. At least on a TV, and especially if you're, 65, probably like, what is this video? Like, why is this? My TV's broken, right? Like, so I think like knowing your audience, like too, like, the younger generation, short form content, they're drawn to it. But then, like as the generations go on, you're kind of like, I'd rather stick to watching long form stuff. Like I don't watch any shorts on YouTube. If I watch anything short, it's either on Instagram or TikTok. If I'm on YouTube, I'm watching long form content.
Right.
Shorts make me mad because every time I go through shorts, it's literally a TikTok that was out like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
It pisses me off. And then nothing makes me madder than when I see a YouTube short that has the TikTok watermark on it. I'm like, oh my God, or the Reels watermark on it. I'm like, oh my God, just like upload each one of them organically so they don't have the watermark on that. Because to me, that just like looks lazy as you as a creator. I realize that you're trying to cut down time, but I mean, really, honestly, how hard is it to just put it in your phone and then upload it to each one of those sites? Not only that, why don't you use the features that are within that app? So when you upload that video organically, you can add their captions instead of having captions from Reels, right? So you have the captions that are straight from TikTok or straight from YouTube Shorts, or you add the music from that specific app, like YouTube. So that way you're not getting in copyright trouble. So I think if you use more of the features that are within the app for each one of those specific videos, like if you're on Reels, you use their Reels music, I think you're gonna have more likelihood of getting found than if you just uploaded a video that you had from TikTok and uploaded it to Reels.
Right.
Just my opinion.
I feel like we may still be trying to establish what the best practices are for each individual channel. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it is kind of your channel's niche specific and maybe even your audience specific, whether it would work or not. But I think everybody can kind of agree on what not to do. And what not to do would be having TikTok or Instagram watermarks. What not to do is be doing trends from TikTok where it's like a duet or something like that. Or on Instagram, you see people doing this thing here where they're pointing here, like that kind of stuff. Absolutely, you should not be what you're doing on YouTube. I think everybody can kind of agree with that.
But you can get some virality. I've seen people that have posted TikToks onto Reels and they've gone really viral, but you have to have something really, really, really really interesting in order for that to happen, like where the algorithm can't push it down, like it's scared so much that they can't stop it,
Yeah.
And can you do that and it still be relevant to your channel and still get the right kind of audience that you want for your channel while doing something like that? That's the really challenging part there. And maybe I think
you can, if you know your audience enough. Like I know my audience hates corporate investors. So if I did this thing with BlackRock with it catching on fire and all this other stuff as I'm talking on a TikTok or a reel or whatever, I know that would do really well because I know my audience loves it. And I also know that the audiences on other platforms don't like those branches of them either. And then all of my content supports what I've been saying anyway. So I think it still could work.
Are either of you guys on TikTok? Do you guys upload content to TikTok?
I do, but not often. I do. But when I do, it does well. I should do it more often, but it's like those minute and a half takes forever. Right. It takes forever to freaking edit.
Brad, are you doing TikTok right now?
I have one. I have yet to upload one, at least to that, to my real estate one. Me and my wife have a garden thing we did. So we kind of did an urban homestead one this last spring. And so we were doing okay with that one. But I haven't done anything personally for my real estate one yet. But after Vid Summit, short form content, I'm okay, I gotta figure out a way to do it. And honestly, it's one thing that bugs me is you can always tell when someone takes a long form video and they cut it down because you're going from the wide angle to narrow and it's just smushed in. So what I'm thinking about trying to do is just having a second stand set up underneath my lens with my phone to record vertically. And then that way I have two separate recordings and they look native to platform at that point.
The only problem with that is where you look into the camera. So
Right.
you're always looking into the camera. And if you have the phone off to the side, it's going to look like you're not looking at the camera lens. So it's going to be off kilter. But
Back
I
in the
will say
board.
this is that like you don't necessarily need your face, you know? You can put a lot of B-roll in there where it's just like a voiceover, and maybe you just have a couple shots that are like kind of panned in your face really
Yeah.
like close up, you know? So
The one thing I do like about shorts and is that you can do a YouTube short, and then like that can also go on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, kind of the same thing. And I do like that you can repurpose that content across all these other platforms. I would just say, you know, make a YouTube short and then put that on the other platforms. Don't make a TikTok and then put that on YouTube. You know, you kind of make it specific towards your audience and kind of what's working well on YouTube, not the other platforms. So somebody is saying that quality over quantity. I post a video a month and I make it a banger.
who is that?
I don't
Mr.
know.
Facebook himself.
Facebook user. I'd have to log out and see. Yeah, that's the only thing about StreamYard. I love StreamYard, but it just doesn't always show everybody's names. Like they have to like register in order to see get their name to show up here. Like
I think that's kind of BS because that's what they're going to use to spam your account so you can start getting ads from StreamYard.
Oh.
You know, it's all lead capture crap.
That's me, Trevor.
Oh, Trevor Smith. Okay.
Yeah. He's the one who started the new group, right?
Yep.
Yep. So Trevor's really into vertical content, and he has a great video explaining how you can make $1,200 a month by posting your short form vertical content on Facebook. And he's got a new Facebook group. What is it called? Vertical Video Mastermind, something like that. I think Kristina posted a link to it in the group. But yeah, I mean, short form content like that, it's definitely kind of the trend that's going on right now.
I hate it. I think it's so ugly. I honestly hate vertical video. I honestly hate it. I think the look of it is garbage. And even when people are doing the dances, right, they have to back up all the way so you can see their whole entire body. So then they're this small on the screen. It's like, oh my God, if they had done it long form, you could have been right there. You could have seen their face. I don't know. I'm just not Kristina's not a fan. I'm just old, I think, because I've grown up with television. I like it to fit the whole entire screen. But I will say this, I hate cinematic too, where the black bars are on the top. Right. Freaking hate that. Like, why do you do that? You have all this screen, use the whole damn screen, you know?
So I wonder what your daughter's perspective is on that. If your daughters prefer vertical content or horizontal content.
They say they like, I asked them that, and they're like, if you're just watching your friends or you know, people that you're just, that's fine. But if you're watching a movie, you want it to fill up the whole entire screen. So they think of it like that. And neither one of them, like to them, TV was when they were little and they were kids, right? Nobody watches television anymore. Right. They've been watching YouTube, honestly, since they could reach the computer. And they would watch all these like Minecraft crap, you know? So they literally, like, YouTube raised them much more than television did. Television isn't a thing. They don't watch television shows.
Yeah. Yes. Kids, you know, who's your favorite celebrity? Like, they don't name TV show stars or movie stars. It's all YouTubers, you know?
That's why pop culture's changed, though, because you know how, like, you could say something from like Seinfeld and everybody in the room would know what it meant, right? Yeah. But everybody's TikTok pages are completely different. So things that you would say that you think everybody knows, like a sound on TikTok or something, nobody knows what you're talking about. That's only on your specific thing. So you're in your own little bubble, you know? And like the pop culture stuff isn't the same as it was when we were young. Like everybody was doing the same thing. Now nobody's doing the same thing. Everybody's a free spirit and has their own little group and has their own like internal jokes that only they would get if they were on the same side of TikTok or Instagram or whatever. It's wild.
My nephew just turned 13, and my girlfriend bought him a birthday card. On it had The Godfather on there, and it said something like, "I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. Happy birthday." And I was like, he's not going to know who that is. You right. And we gave it to him, and he's like, yeah, okay. I was like, do you know who that is? He's like, nope, no idea. I was like, it's a character from a movie that came out in the 1970s about the mafia. Like, he had no idea.
Who watches movies anymore either?
Yeah, and if we would have put a YouTuber on it or a TikTok star on it, he'd be like, yes, I know who that is.
That's Charlie D'Amelio. Yeah, and it's hard to keep up. It's hard. Like I always said, I was never going to be the mom that like was like so behind the times and stuff that I didn't know who people were. I can't keep up with that crap because like Aubrey's group of like stuff that she watches is totally different than Sydney's stuff, and it's all on social media sites. I mean, like I don't know who any of these people are.
Right.
None. And I'm like, God, I'm that old now. Damn.
Yeah, they blow up so fast too.
What's that?
They blow up so fast too. So it's like it goes from like never hearing in person, and all of a sudden it's like I don't know who that is, but apparently everyone else does.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be in high school to really understand who the hottest star is at any given time. So another thing I want to talk about is you were saying that they're talking a lot about music at Vid Summit this year as well, and kind of like licensing music and paying for it through YouTube. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay, so YouTube has come out with a new license, music licensing. It's just like you can actually buy a license for popular songs, kind of very similar to TikTok. But the thing is that the people of YouTube want to make sure that artists get paid as well because they created the music, right? So like the deal that they got from TikTok is pretty garbage, like the people that have their music on there, but they realize that the benefit is that their songs that normally probably would never have seen the light of day, will get it. But then again, TikTok ends up getting all the money from it. The way it works with YouTube is that the people will put the license on there, they can get paid, and you have a choice. Either you can share the revenue with the person that owns the music, or you can pay for it outright, right? So if you're a brand new one, you're like, I can't afford that. It doesn't matter. You can share the revenue with them, right? So if you only make 50 cents, you're only sharing a quarter with them, like who cares? But then you can use that song that would make so much sense for your video, right? Mm-hmm. So this is just a way for the artists and the creators to use really good music, and everybody gets paid.
Right. I like it. I mean, that's cool. I like the idea. If you want to,
or is that for long form too?
I'm sorry, what?
Is that just for shorts, or is that going to be for
everything?
Everything.
But you only can use it on that one project. So when you purchase that, it's only for that one specific video. That doesn't mean you can use them on every single video. It's only on that one, just like all the music sharing apps, like with the licenses. So make sure you label it correctly. But yeah, it's for all of them, because there's just so many scams that go on about music. Like you'll buy a song with Epidemic Sound, and then all of a sudden some other random company comes along and says that, oh, you owe us money for this. And you're like, oh my God. So you have to like prove yourself and everything. It's going to eliminate a lot of that.
You know what I like about it? It's creating another stream of income for artists. So artists used to make money selling CDs. Now everybody's got a Spotify account, and they're making fractions of what they used to make. And so now, like, that's another stream of income that artists can make by licensing out their songs to YouTubers. So I love the idea. Yeah, I'm all for it. And I mean, it sounds like that's optional, or you can go to Epidemic Sound and get one of their generic songs instead. I love it. So, Brad, I want to talk to you about your channels. How many channels do you have, Brad? You're like me.
I might have you beat, Malcolm. I start a lot of channels. I think I have 4 currently that I like try to upload to. I try to upload to, and then I also help other people. I manage their channel for them and like upload and edit all their videos for them. So I stay busy. I stay very busy to where kind of like it sucks because like getting back from like Vid Summit, I'm like fired up and I'm like, yes, like I'm going to dive in super hard. Like I'm going to focus one channel and I'm just going to go for it. But I'm like, I'm just all over the place. And I'm like, I've got all these like other commitments now. And I'm like, I want to focus here though. I need to focus here because this is what will work long-term. But so, yeah, I think like four to answer your question.
It's a curse, man. And so you like other agents pay you to make YouTube videos for their channel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really interesting. That's a really interesting business model. So I've got the same problem, man. I got too many YouTube channels. If I could literally just focus on just one channel like Kristina, I feel like I could blow it up. But I get distracted. I spread myself too thin. It really is. It really hurts your channels by having too many of them. Like that really is like a mistake that a lot of people make. Unfortunately.
I have a question.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so you know how like there's like social media marketing world or Vid Summit. There's all these things, but it's not really geared for real estate. Do you think if there was a social media conference for just real estate agents where they talked about Instagram, TikTok, but it like not small, like make it like a conference? Do you think that would work?
Yes.
I do too.
It's funny. I was actually thinking about that on my flight home. I was like, I wish we had one that was literally just real estate agents, all about video, social media, like the whole works. Because like a lot of this stuff you hear people say, like, oh yeah, like I do these crazy challenges. You're like, well, okay, that doesn't really apply to like my niche. So it's like if you're able to get like a full conference of people being like, yeah, like I close, $50,000 a year doing this. You're like, I can take that and I can implement that.
Well, you can also even gear it towards the fact of, you have this real estate license, you can talk about everything real estate, but if you wanted to step back from actually doing real estate, social media, if you do a lot of it in all these different places, you can build a hell of a referral network that way, and make a business from that. So if those are people that are looking to retire in the future, you set this up now so that way you can,
Yeah.
Tom Ferry Summit is not really a social media summit, though.
Right. That's the thing. I think a lot of like companies or a lot of coaching companies have summits. But I mean, I guess you got like EXP Summit and you got Keller Williams Summit. But yeah, this wouldn't be that. Yeah.
This would you could be from any company. Like this is a collaboration networking event. That's what I'm thinking. Like with real speakers that are not just in real estate, but like are masters at Instagram, masters at YouTube, like the big names, not. You'd have all these little classes, on the side, but then you would have big names in the center. That's what I'm thinking.
We know some of the biggest influencers in the real estate space. Some of the best people in this space are in our Facebook group.
Yeah, like what if you could get like Graham Stephan as a keynote speaker? He's well respected.
Yeah, I'm telling you, you got to do a collaboration with him, Kristina. That'd be huge for your channel. I think that would work out really. Like, I think you guys have some overlap in your audiences.
We do. I just I'm not big enough. And he always hangs out with the bros. Like he's all of his collaborations are bros. I've never seen him like it's all like, what I'm talking about? Like the bros, like there's a bunch of the bros.
But
I'm not a bro.
You might be shorter than he is, which I know he's probably going to really appreciate. Right?
I'm not.
You're not, really?
Nope. I'm not.
No comment there. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah,
on YouTube, it's hard to tell how tall people are. I get that issue all the time, obviously.
I know all of you think that Malcolm is like 5'2", but he's like 6'4". I like blew my mind the first time I ever saw him. He is a very tall man, and everybody thinks I was being sarcastic. They're like, I actually met him, and you're right. He is tall. I thought you were joking. I'm like, no. He's like, every time I see my video, I just imagine to be like 5'6", and I'm like, no, he's tall. He's really a tall dude.
I get that a lot. I get that a lot. I've had people, Bob Tompkins was like, when I first knew him, he was calling me, like, oh, Malcolm's a short statured, petite
little
man.
Dude. They call him, a petite man. He called you, and I was like, "What the hell are you talking about? He's 6'4" or something. He's like a tall guy. That's why, that's why I took that picture, because I'm like, can you believe that Malcolm's this tall? Like nobody believed it. They were like, "Oh my god."
And nobody can believe that Graham Stephan's as short as he is. Joe Rogan too. Joe Rogan's supposedly a shorter guy.
He's 5'10". Joe Rogan.
That's average then. Yeah. I think that is.
Brad, how tall are you? You're a tall dude.
I'm 6 foot.
Yeah, you're a tall dude. Everybody's taller than me. Everybody.
Except for Graham Stephan, apparently.
Stop it. The thing is he can be, no matter what size he is, he has enough money to be whatever he wants to be. It doesn't matter.
Crushing it.
He could be 1 foot. It would not matter because he's a multi-millionaire. He has what they call FU money. Lots of it.
He was crushing. I got a lot of respect for him. I mean, we all kind
Yeah.
of started watching his channel because his channel was originally about real estate, you know, 3-4
Yeah.
years ago, and he pivoted and he's just pumping out this content. And about a year ago, I was like, okay, I want to be like him, and I put a lot of effort into one video, and the video did really well. I got like 500,000 views, and I was like, yes, I made a video like his. But it took me weeks to script and research and edit that video, and he's pumping out videos like that, 3 videos a week. Like
But he
that's
has a team behind him. That's different.
Wow,
Like
yeah,
you could
yeah.
totally like script it out. Like if you sat there and scripted it out and you had someone else that was editing it, you could do that, you know, because it would take me a day to get a good script together, right? Where I'm just like really hammering on my points, and I would film it in order, and then I'd send those clips off to somebody else. If you have a good editing team behind you, I mean, they're like really what he's saying is about the articles and stuff. So he's just putting up the articles and highlighting those words. So there isn't a lot of like extra B-roll he needs, you know?
Mhm.
So you know, like honestly, he knows what he's doing. And I heard him say in previous talks that he uses a teleprompter. He does. But you know, like the location of his camera and how he holds, like puts the camera low, because if you put the teleprompter there and you're looking down, it doesn't seem as crazy as when you're looking straight ahead. So you can't tell that he's reading because he's looking down.
And they've got some teleprompters that go over top of your camera lens, so you're reading it and you can't really tell that you're essentially looking at the camera, which I like.
I have one of
You
those.
could do that. Yeah.
I have one.
I can't read, so I don't dare do that. I'm not a good reader. I hate what like that. The most nerve-wracking thing is like when an article comes up on the screen and I have to read. Ugh.
Yeah, that's what surprised me. So I saw him speak last year at Vid Summit, and he said that he scripts out every word in his videos, every little joke. He's all scripted out and like beforehand, which is really interesting because that's not how I think a lot of YouTubers do it. Well, I don't know.
I don't do it.
Yeah, actually, I mean, Mr. Beast doesn't do that. Even somebody like Mark Rover, he probably scripts out. Yeah, he probably does script everything out.
Yeah, but to a degree. I mean, like I wouldn't follow it word for word because you can kind of like you could write. This is what I do is I write out a whole entire script, and then as I'm doing, I'm like, okay, I said this. So then I talk into the camera, but I'm not following it word for word. There's no way, you know. I can write it out. I remember it because I wrote it out, but it's not going to sound exactly how it was written in the paragraph, you know. Because it isn't natural, and people want to have a natural conversation with you. If they wanted to watch the news, they would turn on the news on their television, you know. But I mean, he's obviously doing it right. I mean, he gets millions of views.
Right? There is no one clear path that everybody needs to follow. There's a bunch of options, and it's working for him. Brad, what do? Do you script it out? Do you write an outline for your videos?
So I used to just do bullet points.
Yeah.
But more recently, I started doing like kind of like what Kristina says, where like so for instance, like the hook video, like I had that thing fully scripted, and then the rest of the video I did the same thing. I wrote out word for word what I was going to say, but I don't follow it word for word. So I kind of just kind of like talk into it and I just type it out, and then it kind of just gives me like a direction to flow. And I'm like, okay, this makes sense now, and then I can just go off my own tangents from there.
Yeah, I think that works well. What I usually script out the hook, of course, like that's really important. And then I kind of do bullet points. Sometimes I'll write out some sentences, and maybe I'll read that sentence and I'll rephrase it in my own language when I film the video. And then I only really script it out if there's like important numbers and facts in there that I don't want to screw up. Then I'll make sure I put that in my script.
That's where I put the overlay of the B-roll. Like if I'm reading specific numbers, like when I get to that part, I'll pause, I'll look down and do this. And that's where you'll see the graphic over top, because I never want people to think I'm reading it. Right. So, but I will say that is one thing I do script and follow it word for word is the hook. Because what I'm doing a lot of times, I don't know if anybody's watched my videos at the beginning, but a lot of times I'm saying the same thing, but I'm jumping to different locations. So like, I'm like, you know, so today we'll be talking about, and then all of a sudden the next clip, like the next thing you see is me walking towards a house and walking away from a house. And then like, I'm constantly moving on that first 30 seconds in different spots, so that way it just kind of keeps it interesting, especially when it's land, you know, like a land video. So I'll be sitting on the road in front of a piece of land, I'll be walking on a piece of land, and then like I'm doing all this stuff, you know, on the land, but I'm saying the same sentence 3 times in a row, and then I cut it up so it all fits together. So it makes it interesting to look at.
I love that. I love that technique. I noticed that when I first saw that in one of your videos.
I thought it was smart.
My video, the hook for the Vid Summit was I recorded it multiple different times in different areas, and I plugged and played what parts I needed.
Yep. Because there's sometimes it does sound better when you're doing it. Like, I'm like, oh, that sounds better than the last one. So I'm going to stick that one in there.
Yeah. And I think it's important to make sure you get a good mic and like the audio is consistent between all 3 of those takes. I've seen some other people do it and like the audio sounds completely different. But I remember I noticed that in your videos, like, oh man, that audio sounds just as good outdoors as it does like in our studio when she does that.
There is a new thing on Final Cut Pro, right? If you guys have Final Cut Pro, if you look on the side, you probably didn't notice it before, but it will say voice isolation, right? No matter where you're at, when you're finished the video, highlight the whole entire thing, make it as one compound clip, and then put voice isolation. It will even out all of your audio all the way across, so it sounds the same across your whole entire video. I had a company edit my video, this last one, and my audio is not the same all the way across. And I was like, ugh. So I had to give them a little scolding. So.
Okay, so we got a question here from Byrne. So if you had a city-based channel, what sort of shorts would you create? Videos that complement your long-form videos? And he's also saying, I'm not a fan of them on YouTube, but I feel like I need to do them. So what are some ideas for like videos for shorts for people that make content about their city? I mean, I would say content about your city, like, you know, that's kind of keep it in that same niche, make sure you're still serving that same audience. So if you're doing, you know, top 10 list of cool attractions in your city, maybe you could have one of those attractions as being a short. But what do you guys?
If it was me, if it was me, I would pull one of the national headlines talking about your specific city, because usually they create these headlines that are untrue, or they're like, they don't really tell the whole entire story. So I would say, so the headline reads that we have a depreciating amount of people moving into the city, but the truth is, and then like this, and like there's more and more people moving here than it ever has been. Yes, we've had a great number of people leave this city, but with the amount of people that have moved to this city has doubled. So this is not a real headline. That's what I would do. And then like, to learn more about our city, go ahead and watch these videos down here. Like I put a link in the description of some videos of, you know, and have it to a playlist. That's what I would do. I would take headlines that are sensational about my specific city, and then basically word that whole short into getting them into more content. That's what I do.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I think kind of like that's one thing. So like my game plan was going to be to do like market updates almost, but in shorts, because I feel like, I mean, you can get a decent amount like for a market update video in a short amount of time, you know, just basically talking about like, oh, you know, like the home prices are up, home prices down, blah, blah, blah. So doing things like that was kind of my game plan. And then also doing like what X dollars gets you in like these neighborhoods, and then doing kind of like a quick pan through of like the homes and stuff.
Right. But I think we need to think about this, because you're talking about a specific area. Is that who's going to watch that, right? So you're trying to get as many people to watch your channel as possible. So if you have a city-based, channel, how is it that you're going to draw in an audience that's outside your city? And you're thinking, well, I'm not going to sell to them. You don't know that. At some point, somebody may be moving to that specific city. So don't, like, I would try to word that as much as possible directed towards the rest of the country and how it relates to your city. So like I would take a national headline and how that necessarily may or may not pertain to your specific city.
Yeah.
Right.
So you can draw in more people.
Yeah, I think that could work. One thing I've seen work, well, I guess it's not really for YouTube shorts, but like if you have a listing video, I've seen people speed up the video to only like a minute. I think that works really well on Instagram and TikTok and everything.
And it works for TikTok.
Yeah. I do that for my other social media accounts. I don't put it on my YouTube shorts though, because that's a different value to my audience. But if you had a channel just for listings, you could do a long form listing video and then a really sped up version of that on for your shorts on that same channel, I think. I think that could work pretty well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're going to do that, and you're going to make a really nice detailed video, like let's just say like a Brad McCallum video, and you wanted to do that fast forward, just turn on your freaking phone and just walk through with a gimbal and do that really quick, you know, and it will go through really fast, you know, it will go through really fast. I don't know. I've done those on what is it? TikTok for a build the home thing, and that got like 1.4 million views. So and that video was 45 minutes long. That's how fast it was going. So I know that I would need to go a little bit slower through a house for that speed up, you know, like don't run through the house because that ain't gonna work. You know, make sure you're just kind of walking really slow so people get to see it, you know. like that ran so fast I couldn't even see the master bedroom, you know, be smart about it.
Well, good. Full video right here. Click right here to watch the full.
Yeah, you want to see some more details about this house? But if the house had something really cool in it, like I was in this one house that had a cabinet in it, and the cabinet had steppers inside there. There was actually a little feature where you could pull out the drawers, and then you pulled it out one more time, and then it was a stepper to get onto their double stacked cabinets above the countertop. I'm like, that thing is cool. So if you took that and said, like, look at this feature, I've never seen this in a house, that showed that in a slow-mo, and they were like, you want to see the rest of the features, go ahead and click the video down below. Like if that house had some cool feature, that's what you need to do in a short, and then have it go to another aspect of the house.
Yeah,
I like that. So somebody's saying start a conference, Kristina.
I think it would work. Honestly, I think it could work.
I think conference sounds like a freaking nightmare, though. Honestly, Daryl, I don't know. Every year, though.
But I mean, I've seen people do conferences before. You know, just the regular person.
I've seen people do masterminds. There's a lot of real masterminds, and they just focus on social media. Like doing like a panel of people and like people giving presentations. I guess that wouldn't be too difficult to do. Pull something like that off.
It's a rooster.
You have to do it. Yeah, that's his
rooster. Is that your house?
That's my rooster, yes. His name's Daryl.
His name is what?
Daryl.
Your rooster's name is Daryl.
Yeah.
Okay, Daryl.
I knew she would like that.
Literally right outside my office door right now. So
you should have led with that on your hook video. She would have waited for you right away. Like, rooster's name is Daryl. Here's a ticket. Got it. So let's do.
It was a different vibe this year, by the way.
Oh yeah, tell me about that. The different vibe with it. You're saying a lot more like fans were in the attendance.
Well, Brad has nothing to compare it to. So like, I know for him, he just doesn't know, but it used to be like you could go to one of these conferences and you could sit down, which they didn't have much places to sit. You know, there wasn't like hardly any couches or anything to sit down. And you could sit and talk to people that had 5 million subscribers next to someone that has 10,000 subscribers next to someone that has 1,000 subscribers. Nobody gave two flying flips. We were just all talking about our YouTube journeys and what we're trying to do. And other people were willing to help, right? And nobody asked what your subscriber count was. Right. I got asked more often than any other time what my subscriber count was. Like, seriously, I was just overwhelmed. And then the level of speakers were so high level. Sometimes I think that if you were a small creator, you could be like, how this does not pertain to me. Like, none of this makes sense. I just have 1,000 subscribers. I'm not looking to make $1 million sponsorship deal. Like, and I could see how that was disconnected. And I heard from some people, which it didn't bother me. I didn't even notice, but a lot of people were saying there wasn't enough female representation there. And I didn't even, honest to God, I did not even think about it or notice it. And then I was like, well, what do they mean? So I looked at the poster, and then there was 50 people on the poster, and there was only 7 women. And I was like, oh, but to me, that didn't bother me. But for some people, obviously it did. So I didn't even notice. I could have cared less. That doesn't phase me one way or the other. I mean, if you think about it, YouTube's full of more dudes than there are women anyway. So.
I know. I mean, Daryl gave out a bunch of channel jump starts to just nothing but females because he's like, we need more female creators here.
Yeah.
Good. Smart.
There was plenty in the audience. Honestly, was there more boys than girls? Yeah, but I wouldn't say it was like a 50-50 split or 65-20, you know, like it wasn't like that. I would say it was like 55% men and 45% women, you know? And I like, and a lot of the guys that came into that, like, they wouldn't just come in because they were in a channel, they would bring all their crew too. So there was like this bro pack that followed them around. So I felt like there was a real bro vibe there, which I'm like, you know, like, that's just not who I am. And there was so many more younger people, and there was fans, which we've never had fans, never, ever, ever.
Yeah, I mean, the tickets are already $1,000. You know, I was gonna say, like, I wonder if they can increase the price of the ticket to get less fans to go, but it's already $1,000. Like, you think that'd be enough of a deterrent for them?
They moved the conference. It's no longer in LA. It's in Dallas. And I think that was the smartest thing they could do, honestly.
I think so too. I mean, how many East Coast creators didn't go because they don't feel like flying all the way out to California for an event like that?
Yeah, I don't know. The East Coast creators come out there. They're
I like it when things are in Texas. I'll be honest, just because it's so much easier for us being on the East Coast to fly down to Texas than it is to fly out to California. I think it's only 2 time zones instead of 3 time zone change. It's just like Texas is a good place for having national conferences like that.
It's an only 8-hour drive for me, so I'm gonna actually rent an RV, and I'm gonna collect YouTubers on the way there. I'm gonna stop in New Orleans first. I'm not joking. I'm really gonna do that. So I'm gonna get an RV. I have some people that are meeting me in Baton Rouge, and then we're gonna start going. And like, are you going to Vid Summit? You got to prove you got a ticket, and then I'm gonna just go all the way up. It's only an 8-hour drive, so I figure that I'll add another 2 to 3 hours, but I think it'll make it fun.
Yeah.
Everybody can talk about I just think it like adds some excitement to the whole
masterminding in an RV.
Yeah, masterminding in an RV, and like the thing is like that's the whole thing. Like you never realize who you're talking to. You're like, oh, that doesn't relate to me. But then you hear them talking, you're like, shit, I could do that. Like that's actually really smart. Because I mean, would I normally go out and seek vloggers to talk to? Absolutely not. But then they start talking, you're like, oh, I could really implement that on my channel, just because they're not doing the same niche as you. There's so much you can learn about thumbnails, titles, connections with audience that you wouldn't normally do. So that's why these conferences are so good.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I like about the conferences the best is just meeting people and having conversations like this with them, actually mastermind, like going there and just watching somebody up on stage. Like that's great and all, but I like to actually network. I like to meet people. I like to kind of mastermind. Like that's something that Vid Summit could integrate more. I've been to real estate conferences where they break everybody up into small tables and everybody kind of masterminds about a topic. Like something like that would be pretty cool, I think, at Vid Summit for anybody wanted to participate in that.
They've had breakout sessions before. They would do those. That was a thing. I don't think it was this year. I think the whole thing was that it was twice as big as it normally had been. Like there was way more people than there ever had been.
Okay.
And then the hotel that they were at had never improved from all the years they've been there. Like
it was terrible last year. The audio visual was terrible.
The audio was better this year. I'm not going to lie about that, but the Wi-Fi was still a massive issue. This year they had no seating, but in years past they had seating. There was just like all these other things. So it's just, they've gotten so big that hotel could not handle what was going on. So I think having it in Dallas is going to be so much better because it has to be cheaper. I mean, it has to be. California's wicked expensive, right? And Texas is not. So I'm thinking that it's going to be a better space, better hotel, better everything. I don't know if they're going to do it like at the convention center. I have not heard, but all I know is it has to be better. And I'm just glad I don't have to get on a freaking 4.5-hour flight to California. I'd rather travel in a car, much rather.
Yeah, I remember last year, it was the first time they opened that place up again since COVID. And because of that, like they're all really rusty and like the projectors weren't working, the videos weren't working, the audio wasn't working. There's all kinds of hiccups and everything. And there's all the hotel staff that was giving us that stuff, that they're the ones dropping the ball on that.
And they could have cared less. They literally could have cared less. I mean, I felt like they just like hired those people to work there last year at like that day, It was like they knew nothing.
Well, they had a 2-year vacation with COVID,
Yeah. Well, I have to also tell you, my room, the floors were sticky. Like my room, the floors were sticky. So we never not wore, like we were wearing thick like sandals through I'm like, do not step. He's like, I'm not stepping on this. And then my the countertops were burnt, like they had burnt something on there. So I took pictures right downstairs. I'm like, I am not responsible for this. Put it on there that I did not do this. So yeah, I'm just so happy it's moved. I'm so happy.
Did Eddie come with you this year?
Yeah, he did. He sure did.
And I know your daughter went with you last year. Did she come again?
No, she's gonna go next year though. She's gonna go next year because she wants to go see the sights, because there's like a lot of really good food in Dallas. Like that is the one thing too. In LA where we were at, I know there's good food, but there was no good food right by where we were at. So
right,
right all over Dallas, there's good food all over. That isn't like a congested Uber ride that's gonna end up like taking you an hour because of traffic.
Right. Good. Well, I'll be there next year. I'm committed. This
Okay.
So far in 2022, I've gone to California 4 times so far. So I had enough trips out to California. So next year, though, I'm gonna put it in my schedule ahead of time, make it down to Dallas. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I think that's probably a good place to call it a day, guys. Yeah. Thanks, Brad, for joining us.
Yeah.
Parting words, Kristina. Parting words.
There wasn't in a channel that we want to give a quick tip. We got 5 minutes. Let's just go and give them a quick
5
tip.
minutes. Here we go. Let's take a look. We got one channel pulled up here. Let me see.
Are we all wearing black every
We
single?
are. I noticed that a little bit earlier. I'm like, we didn't coordinate it either, guys. I promise.
No, it's my favorite color. So.
All right, we got Love Where You Live, Texamo. Brad, how about you start with this one, man? What are your thoughts on like that banner?
I mean, it's not bad. I think I don't know. It just seems a little bit. I like simple, like very, very simple.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's kind of just a little much going on for me, but I don't think it's like terrible by any means. It's probably better than my first banner I ever had. So
yeah, I like it. I think it works. I think I like it when banners clearly say, make it clear who the target audience is and what the value is of the channel. And so they make it pretty clear that it's about Texamo and your guide to relocating to and living in Texamo. I think that works. They have a link to a free relocation guide. In my experience, I think links to like contact forms or, property search or something like that kind of work better, but you can definitely try for a free location guide. But I would say experiment with some other call to actions there.
I have a question.
Let's shoot.
I would love to know the population of this area, right? Are you limiting how much reach you have because you're using this one specific town as your main topic of conversation?
Yeah.
So like, are you making it so that you're only going to get maximum 100 people watching? But what if you compared that to larger cities in that specific state, right? I have no idea what this town is. I've never heard of this town. So what if you compared it to all the state, like the whole entire state? Like is it in Texas? Is it in Oklahoma? Where is this place? I have no clue, right? So what if you just said, instead of doing it about your town, make it like the top 10 cities or top 10 small towns, and include your specific town in that, right? I would try to pull in some national headlines and how it relates to your specific housing market. Because this is this is the mistake I made when I first started my YouTube channel. My channel was about Ascension Parish, Louisiana. That was the dumbest thing I could have ever done because I was only speaking to people in our specific area. And everybody that was in the real estate business was like, no, that's where you want to go because that's where your sphere of influence is. That was a stupid move because I had limited myself so much. I wasn't getting much exposure because I only was comparing it to the one town. Once I started adding more things about the whole entire state, like 10 things you never knew about Louisiana, then the comment section was full of people saying, I live in Louisiana and I don't even know why I'm watching this, but I watched it all the way to the end. My sister lives in Ascension Parish. So then all of a sudden, once I used the whole entire state, but mentioned my area in those videos, then the phone was like really ringing. Don't get me wrong. I got leads by doing it like this. I got a hell of a lot more leads when I compared it to the whole entire state.
Yeah, I see that being a challenge for a lot of people when they're in a small town, a small city like that. You know, and that's going to be a big question that they have to figure out themselves. So they want to exclusively make it for that small town and understand you're only going to get dozens or hundreds of views on those videos. Or do you want to come out a little bit, pan out a little bit, and make your audience, your region a little bit bigger, make it about your county or about multiple cities, or make it about your state? And yeah, it's a tough decision. I mean, I often advocate to go larger for your audience. You know, you don't have to get, if you have a small town, it's really hard to create a YouTube channel around that. And maybe you want to go like northern Texas or southern Texas, or kind of a region or something like that. Worst case scenario, you get referrals for some of other cities in your area, right? That's kind of the worst thing that can happen there. So I'm kind of with you on that, Kristina. I think if it's a small town nobody's ever heard of, it's okay to kind of zoom out a little bit and cast a wider net. You don't want to go too wide, but a little bit wider, I think, is perfectly fine.
I have another thing I'd like to say.
Yes.
There's no consistency in your thumbnails,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's too much consistency in your titles. Moving to. Like, I know that's probably what you were taught, maybe because it was supposedly optimized for SEO search, but that optimized for SEO search isn't what people click on. They click on a title that gets them like things you never knew. Moving to Sherman, it is Texas, Sherman, Texas. Things no one ever tells you about moving to Sherman, Texas. The biggest lies about Sherman, Texas. You know.
Yeah, it's not confusing. So they're talking about Sherman, Texas, but their banner says Texamo.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the county name.
Right, that could be it. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right.
What is it? What if it's Texoma? Texoma?
Maybe that's a Texas term. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know what that means.
But yeah, look at these three titles: moving to Denton, Texas; moving to Sherman, Texas; moving to Sherman, Texas. Yeah, that is completely wrong way to do titles on YouTube.
It's really not wrong. It's the way that if you were only going for search traffic, this is the way you would do it, right? If that was your only key, was to be in search so people could look it up like an encyclopedia, then yes, that would be it. That would be how you would do it. But I predict that you probably want to have more eyes on it than just a page in an encyclopedia. I would say that you probably want to have more people coming to watch your videos. So you have to connect with those people, and titles like this will not connect.
Yeah,
with people.
You're missing out on browse traffic, suggested traffic, and even channel page traffic. If I come to your channel and I see these three titles, they look so similar that I'm not going to know what the difference is or why I should click on one of those videos.
Yeah.
I mean,
every time I see her, I'm like, she is the prettiest lady I've ever seen. Every time I see her, I'm like, she is so pretty. Yeah, it's fun. I love her hair. I don't know. I just love her. She's just a pretty lady.
They know how to make thumbnails here too. You know, like that's a YouTube thumbnail there. Why did they make one for these videos here as well? You know,
I don't know. Sometimes they make them and sometimes they don't. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, all of these should have custom thumbnails like this. They should all have unique titles to them as well.
And she's super pretty, so put her on those thumbnails, man.
Yeah, do it. So moving to Sherman, Texas, new construction Highland Homes home tour. So again, you're just like, is this really going to entice me to want to click on this video? No. You know, how about this? So it's a new construction home tour inside this luxurious $600,000 Highland home, right? Or you're never going to believe what the inside of this Highland home looks like. Something like that is a much more clickable title than this encyclopedic keyword stuffed 3-section title. So yeah, titles definitely. You could go back right now, retitle all of these to make them as clickable as possible.
And at this point, it wouldn't hurt because you only got like an average about 25 to, I'd say average of 100 views, but some of them only have like 17 views.
Right.
So I would think that you could, yeah, and I would get rid of this.
Get rid of the intro.
Yeah, the intro needs to go.
6 seconds of just this.
Nope.
Then you finally get into it.
Yeah, and like she has good video production. Like I've watched their videos. I mean, these are really done well. but like just having that little intro right there could screw up somebody's whole viewing pattern, right? Like this is well done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is high quality. I like this a lot. Yeah, this is really high quality. The production quality is great. Just optimizing it for YouTube, right? And yeah, so you could go back right now into YouTube
editor
off this first 6 seconds of it. You could go back right now, create more clickable titles for all of these. Inside, something home, works really well. And then create custom thumbnails for all of these, instead of like, okay, so these two things are just screen captures. This is a screen capture from the first few seconds. This is probably just a screen capture of the some B-roll that they had in the video.
And see, if it was me, if I was to make that thumbnail, I would have a picture of the house with the cost of it right over the back of the house, right?
Yes.
That's it.
Yep.
That's all I put. Because those are the thumbnails that work. I've seen it a million times. And the reason why you see it a million times is because it works.
Yeah, I usually do that. I'll cut out the sky and I'll do like a twilight sky.
Here's the thumbnail. That's their thumbnail that they had. That doesn't it
doesn't convey the message of this is a place I want to move to. It just shows some kids doing some homework, and that's the last thing I want to do is work with kids with homework. Like that sucks.
Yeah. And the thing is, like they put so much work into their videos,
Yeah, they're really done well.
I mean, something like this, they probably put 10, 15 hours worth of work into editing something like this. And you just need another 10, 20 minutes to create a good title and good thumbnail for it. Maybe a little bit more if you want a really, really good thumbnail.
And I will say, just from personal experience, if your video isn't over 8 minutes, YouTube isn't going to serve it. Yeah. It's just not. I mean, and you can argue with me all you want, but I can tell you if my video is 7 minutes and 59 seconds, it's going to get squished. But the minute it's over at 8 minutes, 1 second, then all of a sudden it makes it,
Yeah. So their most popular video, it has what I think is their best thumbnail and has what I think is their best title. And that happens to also be their most popular video. That's not a coincidence. Yeah, I mean, I think that right there, like those are action steps that they could go and implement right now. Get rid of that 5-second intro, create custom clickable titles for all of them. Don't worry about stuffing keywords in there. And then custom thumbnails for every video. Always have to have a custom thumbnail for every video in there.
Yep.
Hi there. Love watching you guys. All right, man. Well, thanks
Kevin Suze.
Yeah. And thanks for sharing so many insights.
You're welcome, Claudia.
Absolutely.
I love that name, Claudia.
All right. I think that's a good place to end it, guys. Brad, thanks so much for joining us.
That was good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Bye, Kristina.
Thanks,
Bye, everybody.
Bye, Malcolm. Smell you later.
Smell you later. See you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.